Hi, it's Alistair from 01 Alchemy here. Just like to condense search engine optimization into a very nice, easy to understand definition for you. Starting from the beginning, it's not rocket science and it's not black magic. It's very logical, in fact. Google's algorithm is sitting on a bunch of computers and it basically looks at hundreds of tiny little factors that all contribute to the result, which is Google's search engine result pages, or SERPs. Taking a step back, search engine optimization really breaks into two fundamental components. On-site optimization, which is what you must do on your own website for Google to find the information, regard it as useful for customers and position it accordingly. And off-site optimization, what you do outside of your website with the rest of the universe to help send signals to Google that you've got the best information and what customers are looking for. So let's start at the beginning with on-site optimization. On our website you'll find we've got probably the world's most useful and well-known guide for understanding all these components, which is the periodic table of SEO success factors. And so I've just summarized the key points here. But let's start with content. Content, you've probably heard, is king. Content is king. When you think of the history of Google, the algorithm over the years, and I've been involved with SEO and other forms of search engine marketing since the very beginning, the late 1990s, it's just been an evolution that started from very technical factors, but leading toward the goal of just creating the most useful, compelling, awesome information for customers to find according to what they're looking for. So content is always first. The first thing we'll do in helping analyze your website and understand your business objectives and work with you to get that result that you're looking for is start with the content. Breaking that down, the very first point is quality. There's no point just publishing loads of nonsense. That, in fact, as you probably know, Google has done its best efforts to clean up that part of the web. Instead, it's taking a quality approach to conveying to customers the story about your company, your products and service. The next is research. So what we do is we put research second because telling the story organically to your customers must be done as the first priority. But then what we can do is access Google's databases to extract the historic traffic figures and the number of people searching for different keywords. So by doing the keyword research, that helps inform us of what sort of keywords customers are looking for so that we can better optimize the content on the website to match what customers are looking for. But it's very important to put it secondary like that, because when you write from the heart and write out to customers and then use this as a checklist, I find that gets a much better result than if you do a data-driven strategy of getting the research first and then writing content based around keywords. That can befuddle writers or perhaps even confuse yourself. So that's the first point to make. The next one is engage. So I've linked it more with quality. So the quality content really needs to engage customers. And Google looks at metrics, engagement metrics, like how long someone spends reading a page, if they bounce or they click off it immediately. Are they really finding it useful for customers, in which case we get good marks. The next one after that, which is tied in with the research, are the keywords themselves. Are we accurately having the sort of keywords that customers are using in their everyday language? The extreme example of this being a problem is when you're very close to that subject matter, whatever it is that you sell, that you are often writing with passion and energy, quality and engagement around the values and the solutions and what you do with your product or service. And sometimes we can accidentally strip out the keywords that people are actually typing in to find it. So again, the keyword research informs us of what keywords customers are using, and then by inserting it into the page and making sure that we've got that mixed together, we tick that box there. And then finally, freshness. So Google's also looking at not only do you have exciting, quality, engaging material that matches what customers are looking for, but are you updating it? Is it keeping up with your industry? And how often are you publishing new pieces? How often are you talking to customers about the recent developments? So Google's algorithm is geared towards an ever-evolving, non-stopping universe where the world just keeps moving forward. So we're also evaluated on how fresh the content is too. The next is HTML. With HTML, it's the dry bit. It's looking at what key aspects of each page Google are looking at to give it an indication of the content that is on there. So when you go onto our website, you can download a free audit of your website where we run some software to identify all of the issues in the on-page optimization process. And we call this bit meta. You may be familiar with the word before is in meta titles, meta descriptions, and they're the first 2 points. For every page on your website, we need to tell Google, this is the title of this page, this is what it has in it, and then here's a very brief description of what's on the page. And then finally, the headers or the headings within that page content also contribute quite enormously to how Google works out whether this content matches what customers are looking for. And thirdly, we have architecture. Within our audit, we call this visibility. So we want to look out for any obvious problems that Google might find in indexing a website. It breaks down into 3 points. Crawl, where can Google's bot literally crawl through the website and find all of the pages. Speed, is the website responsive? Is it moving quickly? Is it on a solid foundation with your hosting provider? And can customers navigate the site with ease? And thirdly, the URLs. And this is also very important because the URLs are the names of the pages. What goes into the browser when someone clicks on a page. And so the URLs have 2 areas of importance. One, they act as a sign or a signal along with the title and description to tell Google what content is on the page. But also from an architecture perspective, we also need to ensure that all of the links that you've had on your website can be found. If you've got broken links or broken URLs, then Google gets upset because it doesn't want to ever deliver customer to a page that no longer exists. So we want to make sure with our audit that we can pick up on any visibility issues and correct them as a top priority. The other half of the equation is off-site optimization. Now this is probably the bit that is most challenging. It's the largest, it's got the largest scope, and it's also evolving more rapidly. If content is king, then links are queen. So, in essence, with the 2 sides of the equation, Google's saying, well, do you have what the customer's looking for? And, oh, you've done a great job at that. And then it says, well, I've got thousands of websites with content just like yours. So, how many other people out there in the universe are pointing to you as the reference point for that? And so that's essentially what off-site optimization is. It's like digital PR, public relations. Going out there and finding ways to take your awesome content and have it interlinked into the internet and linking back to you. And Google looks at that relationship. Let's break it down some more. For links, it comes down to quality, text, and the number of links. The number one's obvious, but I'll return to that one. Quality, of course, is paramount. It is far, far more valuable to have 10 links on 10 valuable websites where customers are seeing them and clicking on the links and coming through and it's adding value and those websites have a lot of credibility than it is to have 10,000 links on 10,000 rubbish websites. So the quality versus the number, it's sort of a balance act. Well, actually, it's not a balance act. It's all about quality. You try and get the highest number of quality links possible and never delve into temptation to get a massive number of links. That just doesn't work. The text on the links is important too. So if your link on another website says click here and that's the linked bit, then you're telling Google, oh, the word that's important on my website is click here. So what's always better when we're building links for our clients, or if you're doing it yourself with the partners that you work in your community, is say, could you please link back to my website, and can you make the words, book your holiday with et cetera, can you make that the linkable text? Because that's the most useful signal for customers, therefore Google rewards that as being you're making that link useful for customers. They know what they're going to get when they click on the link and get to the other end. Now, the next part of offsite, which really didn't exist years ago, but now it's becoming more and more and more important, is the social aspect. Does your company have a sterling reputation on social media sites? And the sharing aspect, are your customers engaging with your content and sharing it? So that aspect of virality or organic growth for your business through word of mouth and customers referring you to their family and friends, that has an impact on SEO now. So Google and the other search engines have said, actually that's a terrific signal. If people are sharing content and telling others about it through their social media, then that really tells us that these guys have got what the customers are looking for. And obviously this then overlaps with your social media strategy. So social media marketing, SMM, which will be another whiteboard session. The next one is trust. So the trust equation really links back to who you're linking with. Do you have an authoritative website on the topic, and are you seen as an authority in your industry for what you have? And then what's the history? How long have you been around as an established business? Now, these sorts of technical factors used to play a large role. You know, the age of your domain, and indeed how long the content's been around, etc., etc. But I promise you that's really a weaker position now, and that's why it's falling down the list in priority. But nonetheless, there's still aspects of the algorithm that look at these technical parts of your website and your history. And then finally, the personal side plays an even larger role too. It's still emerging, and so it still plays a weaker role overall, but Google's always looking at, well, what country are you from? Where's your locality? So if you're based in Sydney, you're going to get different results to if you're living in Melbourne. That's obvious. It'll also look at the history of the customer, and particularly if they're logged into the Google Plus accounts or another search engine that's linked with another social media provider, then it goes, well, what have you looked at before, and can we refine those search results to help you even more? So if you did a search for something and you spent hours researching and you clicked on a website that was 15 pages into the results, you'll find that the next time you do a search to follow up that research, that site will be further up because Google's already recognized that you found that website useful. So it's becoming a very personal thing, search results. And then finally, the social aspect as well. If the customer is logged into the Google Plus account, and oftentimes people will have their Gmail email browser open when they do a search, then Google's looking at what their friends have clicked on in the past. It will also change the results pages to show perhaps a video that's related to the topic you've searched for that appeared in somebody else's Google feed, or perhaps another example would be when you've done a search yourself for something, and I've lost my train of thought. And finally, personal. So more than ever, our search results are being personalized by Google's algorithm. First of all, the locality matters. So whereas before Google would evaluate your website based on the location of the server and where that information is being kept, now Google has more information on where the customer is searching from. So if you're in Australia, Sydney, you're going to get very different results to if you were living in China, Shanghai, or Singapore. And that's just self-evident. And that aspect is being further refined. What we do is within Google Webmaster Central, which is the direct line to Google to give information on your website, that's where we classify geographical targeting, where exactly the business is and where our customers are as well, so that we can refine that. But also Google takes into account your personal history, your browser history. So if you've clicked on something after doing a lot of research that was several pages down, the next time you're following up that search with something else, you'll find that result comes up quite higher because Google sees that you've already clicked on it, and that means that they've got what you're looking for. And then of course the social aspect. So Google also taps into your friends that are linked through your Google Plus account, or in the case of Facebook, with Facebook friends, and says, well, let's have a look at, let's put what your friends are saying as a credible source of information for this keyword. So that's in a nutshell, but the last point to bring up, which stretches across both hemispheres of search engine optimization, are the no-nos, the violations. I should have used a red marker for these. I'll just run through them by definition, and we can discuss some more if you prefer over the phone. The first is thin. So Google's looking for any pages on the website that are deemed too thin. If you've only written a handful of things and you've published hundreds of pages that really just don't have much content on there, Google says, look, you're trying to trick the customer here. You're trying to appear credible and knowledgeable about hundreds of topics, but actually the way that we're reading your website is you're trying to disguise yourself as being big and knowledgeable, but you've really not gone into enough detail into any of these points. So that can actually result in a decrease in ranking for everything on the whole site if you take that strategy. The next is called stuffing, and it's literal as well, where if you think, well, my keyword is BMW, easy, I'll make a page that says we sell BMWs. BMWs are a great car. We've got BMW 8 Series, BMW 5 Series, BMW 3 Series. BMWs are wonderful. If you take that approach and it's very aggressive, Google's algorithm of course picks up on that and says, you know what, you're just trying to stuff keywords into this page. You're not adding value. This isn't quality content at all, and it's not engaging. And then that undermines everything else that we've gone through. The next one is hidden, and I'll just approach hidden and cloaking together because it's more, they're defined technically, but in general for your business, what we want to do is make sure that the pages that we promote and publish on the website are all visible, and we're not doing anything to hide pages from customers. So you want to be able to make sure that every page that's ever been published can somehow be found if a customer's on that website and they click here, and they come down and then they click there and then they're reading the page, there's at least one link that then goes off to reach that deep, dark page that you wrote back in 2004. And cloaking is when you're presenting some information, but actually it's different to what search engines would see or what customers would see. But really, it's about taking an approach that is honest and organic and saying, you know what, Google, we're just awesome at what we do here, and this is what we present to the universe, and this is how we tell our story to customers, and that's what gets you the best result. And then likewise, the last two, I'll talk to together. The last two violations are paid links and spam. So in the case of paid links, they're not so frequent now, but we used to get emails that would say, oh, we will guarantee publishing 10,000 links on your behalf, and you'll have 10,000 links overnight, or maybe staggered over a period of time. And it just, obviously, there's no shortcuts in being awesome, and this is not only frowned upon, but will be to the detriment of your overall website performance. So there's no way of paying for links to be published for you quickly, and of course, it's all treated as spam. And that's really SEO in a nutshell. Thank you very much.